Hi friends! I contributed to wasting today, and I haven't been so proud of myself for such a thing in a while. A ways back, I did a video about the purple cow drink that was contaminated by the people, I think it was brothers running the booth. It was one of those things at a fair where they were doing it for a fundraiser. They weren't used to running, food service. And he was scratching himself very vigorously in front of us and then went into the booth. No washing of hands, no gloves. And it's fine to scoop ice cream and, pour the soda over it. But when the ice cream was stuck to the spoon, he used his bare finger that had just been scratching to get it off. And I was in shock and horror, and I couldn't believe nothing was said. I didn't say anything. I looked at my mom pleading for help with, my eyes, and she didn't say anything. And that was a day where things should have been spoken about. So today was much less egregious, you might say, in that decorum kind of way. But I was at the Simple Greek, and I love this place. I highly recommend it. Now, there were a few people that got in line behind me. Ideally, I prefer to be like the only one in line. I take my time. I like them to take their time. And I feel like they're a little bit more generous with the portions. Or, like, I like the tomatoes and cucumbers. And I think they're a little bit heftier of a scoop when they're not in a rush. And they are fast. Like, they just get their things. You can barely tell them what to put on, and it's already there. So I had my lentils in the bowl and the meat, and she had switched out the kind of crusty older meat, or she was getting the new meat that was from the warmer. And she already had the bowls out with the meat, and she was going to take out the old meat and put the new meat in of my bowl. But as she took it out of what I assume was a steam table, like those rectangular metal trays, not trays, as much as you can call a rectangle a bowl. So she lifted it out and plunked it on the counter, but some of that water had dripped into my bowl. And it kind of didn't process in my brain until she'd already put the new meat in. And then I was like, oh, I think some of that water got in there. Now, granted, if it was a steam table, maybe it was steamy water, maybe it was sterile. But on the one hand, I don't really want drippy water in my food. And number two, I'm not really interested in getting food poisoning if it wasn't so sterile, and you just don't know where that bottom had been placed and what had been touching, and goopy steam water just doesn't seem so appealing. So I actually spoke up and said, oh, I think water got in that bowl. And then she's like, would you like me to make you a new one? I'm like, yes please. And for anybody who knows me, they know I don't like waste, and so I felt like, I don't want to waste. And that was new meat. I appreciate that she got the new meat. Granted, thankfully it wasn't at the end of the bowl. That would have been much more tragic. But the meat, especially the lentils, they're easy to come by. But the meat was like, but they shaved it off, and hopefully it wasn't too much of a monetary loss, and hopefully, it wasn't a huge portion loss. But waste is such like a thing I don't do when I can help it. But food poisoning is kind of more of a waste. If you think about it, having to eliminate an entire meal like that and be sick and out of commission for who knows how long is much more of a value loss than a portion of a meal. So I was really proud of myself for speaking up. I later got on one of the Cuddlist practitioner training calls, and I told them about how a lot of this boundary stuff and speaking up really applies to so much in life, not just the cuddle sessions and whatnot. And so the facilitator gave me a verbal high five, and because we're on the phone, far away. So, seems like a small incident, and for some people that would probably be really easy. People that, send their food back to the restaurant or whatever, that's easy for them. But like, for me, that kind of thing is like, oh my gosh, number one, you don't want to waste. Number two, in that case, you don't want to upset the server. You don't want to upset the chef. You don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to say they didn't do a good job or show your disapproval. But at the same time, we've had some meals that were like, I don't know why we let it go, that it was pretty subpar and not even at, bare minimum. So I think that it's good to learn to speak up, and you don't have to be kind of like a mean, jerky kind of person who's like, be gone with this. This is terrible. Not good enough for me. You can be kind and gentle and not shaming them. Like, oh, I can't believe you would serve me this. But still stand up for yourself and still advocate for what you want. So, I brought this down here. This is the meal from Simple Greek. This is one of those things that's kind of hard to tell. It's got the lid on it. It's squashed down the hummus. It's probably not as appealing now, but we've got olives, feta, lentils, the gyro meat. Oh my gosh, the Limones potatoes, so good. Today was like the best batch of them. They were extra lemony. And the green beans and the village salad, which has tomatoes, onions, and cucumbers marinated. Oh, chickpeas today I got. And, olive oil, Greek dressing, oregano, lots of good stuff. So, looking forward to yummy meal and healthy. Lots of fiber, good amount of protein. Very happy to have this in my life. And it sounds like they finally opened up the new one, so I'm really looking forward to that. It's a little bit closer. Not somewhere I typically go, but a good place to have available. So, with that, I encourage you to speak up, stand up for yourself, communicate your boundaries, and practice with every day things like this that aren't necessarily as big of a deal compared to someone physically violating you. But, in reality though, food poisoning getting in and allowing that to happen is a physical violation, literally on your inside. So really, it's actually not that far off. So be well, be merry, be full of boundaries and communication. And as always, love you and hope you have a great week.